views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
The 2017 tax deadline is quickly approaching, but this year it's not April 15th, but beware, there are a lot of scams out there, tax scams. So stay with us to learn how to avoid tax scams, get professional tips from our tax expert in studio. That's coming up next on Perspectives with yours truly, Darren Hyman.
What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Let 'em know. Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective, which shines a light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life.
Make a difference.
What's your perspective?
Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective.
What's your perspective? Let 'em know.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Perspectives. I am Darren Hyman. So glad to have you sharing with us as we are here every week here on BronxNet Television, Channel 67. You can catch us with a brand new fresh episode every Tuesday at 8:30. And this week, we'll tell you exactly what we're talking about in just a few seconds. But as always, we invite you to stay connected to us. How can you do that? Well, of course, social media. Hit us up on Facebook at BronxNet Perspectives, Twitter, or you can catch me on my professional page, Darren C. Hyman on Facebook and DC Hyman 23 Twitter. And of course, we'll let you know what's going on with the show, past episodes. If it's something you really want to see, let us know. And you never know, we might actually make a show out of your comment. But coming up on today's issue of Perspectives, we're going front and center because guess what? April is right around the corner. Tax deadline season is here. And we want to let you know how to prepare yourself and how to be ready. Because while you're filing your taxes, there are also a lot of tax scammers out there. Going to give you some information, going to let you know some things that you need to know. And we're pleased to be joined in the studio by our friend, Andy Suku, who's also the president and CEO of Y2K Credit Solutions right here. And Andy, good to have you here with us.
Good morning, Darren. Thank you for having me.
Good. So as we were talking a little bit about this here, as we said, the tax deadline is fast approaching. People are getting tax returns right now already. Right. But with tax returns come a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, a lot of opportunities for identity theft, fraud, tax returns, claiming claiming tax credit that are not legitimate. So IRS is starting to crack down on those things. So you want to be very careful with who you're using to do your taxes, who's preparing your taxes, because consumers don't realize, your tax preparer is going to get you X amount of dollars back. But once you sign off on that line and it goes to IRS, if that comes back and they're auditing you and it's not legit and you don't have paperwork to verify and back it up, you're responsible for that fine and those penalties, not the preparer. So that's one thing we want to be careful of. Also, identity theft. Scammers are calling you on your phone, telling you that they pretend to be IRS agents, that you need to pay these taxes, you owe these back taxes. IRS will never communicate with you via phone. That's one thing consumers need to realize.
So if you're getting a phone call and they're saying the IRS, automatically hang up.
Exactly. It's a scam. They're trying to get your social security number, your bank account information. They're going to use your social to file taxes in your name. Believe it or not, I have 4 or 5 clients right now that are in this situation. The scammers got a hold of their social, claimed them as dependents. Now the IRS is saying that we already paid you. The consumers say, no, I never received my tax return. I never submitted it. And that comes out that they were fraud. So they're asking for your social. They're running up your bank accounts. Next thing you know, IRS is coming after you. And you got scammed.
Yeah. How hard is it once you're starting to get scammed to really get out of this?
It's really hard, actually. You have to prove a lot of cases to IRS. And you have to have a lot of documentations. So sometimes IRS there's a spreadsheet they'll give you to fill out and to avoid the situation, help you assess the situation. But you really have to have proof of everything that what transcribed in the tax returns.
It could be a very long and tedious process, to say the least.
Especially with IRS, yes. This is not something like a credit card or a collection account. 3 to 6 months to resolve it. IRS really does dig into everything. The second thing you want to be aware of is the inflated tax return. You're claiming X amount of dependence on your taxes, and you have no documents to prove that. IRS is also cracking down on that. they're cracking down on offshore taxes, trying to send money offshore to avoid taxes. You got to make sure you have all your documentation for that also. Next thing that they're cracking down on is expense for income credit, kids, saying that you have X amount of kids and you're claiming these kids and so forth. They don't even live in your home. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of scams going on out there, but also there's a lot of scams being conducted by the preparer that's doing your taxes. They're telling you to do X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. Rule of thumb is, and to be honest with you, if the guy that's doing your taxes is not a CPA, I wouldn't use them. Try to go to a CPA because they'll lead you the right way.
Right.
That extra couple dollars you're going to get back now can cost you a lot more in fines with IRS in the long run. Secondly, once IRS starts auditing you every 3 years, they're auditing you for the rest of your life. So you kind of become in their system now, even though you're not doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. It could be a little tedious, could be a little annoying, so you want to avoid that also from the inception.
And when you talk about these tax preparers, the real certified tax preparers also know what kind of tax loopholes there are for you that actually can work to your advantage, something that maybe Joe Blow doesn't know.
That's correct. That's why they're CPA, they're certified accountants, and that's where you want to go. Yeah, it'll cost you a little more money to do the tax and prepare it for you, but in the long term, you have peace of mind.
Mm-hmm. And that's very important, having that peace of mind.
I personally think so because there's so much scams going on, and the headache behind it to get out of it, it's insane. Mm-hmm. Also, if you owe taxes, it goes on your credit now. So now you're going to have a judgment against you for taxes that you never even filed or collected. So it can hit you on numerous levels.
Mm-hmm. Give me a little bit about this here. Now, people are getting their money back, and they're talking about tax returns, and maybe we'll talk about that coming up after the break. Talk a little bit about what do you do when you get your tax returns and your money back, because there's a lot of options that are out there, and there really is some ways to possibly achieving and moving towards financial freedom. So maybe we can talk about that after the break. Let me do this, take a quick break, come back and talk more with Andy Suku when we return right here on Perspectives.
Hi, I'm David Lesh, legal correspondent to the Morning Show Open. If you have a legal question that you'd like me to answer, please send me an email at davidlesh@bronxnet.org, and I will address it on our Ask Your Lawyer segment.
Hey, look, it's those guys.
What's good? What's up? What's happening today?
Let's go, Pearly Whites, man.
Yeah. The boys, check it out.
Ooh, cute.
Are you good to drive?
I'm fine. Hey girl, what's up? What's the name? What's good? What's up?
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Sir, go and step out of the vehicle for me.
Yes, sir. See ya, buddy. Today, Sean's got a hearing. We'll see how it goes. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
We're back here on Perspectives. Darren Jaime here, and the topic of conversation, tax season. With tax season coming right around the corner, I want to make sure that you are armed and prepared with all the information that you need, so that way you can make some wise investments if you are getting a return. And if you're not getting a refund, well, guess what? Yeah, I feel your pain. I've been there before, done that, got a T-shirt. But our guest in studio, Andy Suku, and President and CEO of Y2K Credit Solutions. And yeah, for the people who don't get a refund, you know, we know what they have to do. But for people who are getting a refund, there are some healthy options out there to really position yourself for some real financial liberty.
Right, definitely. First off, I want to say with tax refund, and I said this earlier also, but it's money you never had, right? It's money you overpaid for taxes. So I strongly think that people should just put it away. forget about it, right? However, that's not the case in the situation, right? Consumers do want to spend, but one thing I recommend consumers to do is to buy financial freedom. And what that means is that we all have these credit cards, high interest credit cards. A lot of consumers have high interest credit cards right now. Capital One are issuing 23% interest rate on $500 credit limit. Think about that number for a second, right? So what I suggest is that pay off your high interest credit cards. 60% of consumers are getting a refund of $3,000 this year, about $3,000, right? And if you have a lot of high interest credit cards and you can't pay them off, at least pay half of them off so you can bring your credit score up. Because, a couple of times I've been on the show, we spoke about DTI, debt to income. High credit card balances brings your score down, right? And there's a 30-70 split that we always speak about. So I suggest that consumers pay off as much credit cards as they can, the high interest credit cards. And if your tax return can't cover every single one, at least you made a big impact in paying some of the cards off, that your score went up. You can apply for a low interest credit card, a zero balance transfer everything else onto that card, and for the rest of the year, just pay it off. So I think that's one of the first things consumers should do with the tax refund. Secondly is peace of mind for your home, 6-month savings. A lot of consumers don't have it. You'll be surprised, actually. I think the number is like 75%, 76% of consumers don't have 6 months of savings, especially living in New York City. It's expensive to live here. So if you don't have to spend it, put it away. You need that 6 months worth of savings. Let's say you have damages to your home, boilers, things happen in your home, right? Homes don't stay flourishing without damages year to year as we go by, right? So save that money and put it towards that. Third thing you can do is actually play the lottery. There's a save a fund lottery where it's $50, but you can win $25,000 if you win. So if you play that and you win $25,000, hey, your tax return went somewhere good, right?
Yeah.
A lot of consumers have this image of $1 million lifestyle, but how are you going to get there if you don't have $1 million? So I suggest that start with your first tax return, saving it every year. If you put that away, or you put in a high interest savings account, you'll see the savings in the long run. Those are some of the tips I suggest that consumers do with their tax return.
You talk about paying off some of these credit cards, if possible, if you have the opportunity. So say for instance, a person has a few credit cards, different balances. What do? You take the one with the highest balance, or how do you know which ones to eliminate first?
Well, once you get the statement, you see where your interests are going, right? Most of the time, let's say Capital One, we'll use them, right? Most consumers have that card so that everyone can understand what we're speaking about. You have a $1,500 credit limit, but your payment, 65-70% of that is going towards interest. I mean, that's how you calculate where most of your interests are going, right? So yes, you want to pay off the high interest ones first, where it's barely making an impact on the principal when you make the payment. And you can see that from the statements.
So make sure you go ahead and check that out. And then also you talked about using the funds possibly to secure an emergency fund.
Yes, correct. So a lot of consumers don't have that, and that comes back to the 6 months worth of savings we're speaking about to survive in these days. So the secure funds is where if anything happens on the fly, you have funds to bail yourself out and not just use a credit card. And that's liquid cash that you have. So that comes back to the whole 6 month savings again.
So make sure you have at least 6 months. That's the optimum for the American home.
Correct. And 6 months. And how do you get to that number? Is whatever you're paying in mortgage or rent payment times that by 6, and that's how you come up with a 6 month savings plan. So just in case you lose your job, you can still pay the rent or the mortgage to stay in your place until you find another job.
Right. And a lot of people take that actually for granted.
Yes.
Give us some other tips and things we might be missing out on. Some things we need to know.
With the Mr. Stinger, the New York City comptroller.
Yeah.
I'm doing a project with him for the immigration deportation. Actually, it's not really my project. A friend of mine has her husband was deported. He's not deported. He was arrested twice for ICE, and it's a miscommunication. There's a lot of errors in the case, and she started this fundraiser and this march and so forth. And the comptroller from New York City got involved with it, and I got involved with it. And him and I met at the event 2 Sundays ago, and we started this whole, I don't know how to call it, but we're trying to help as much as we can with immigration and prepping people that are in that situation how to avoid it. As far as like things like if you owe taxes, take care of that stuff off your credit. Take care of it and take it off your credit. So if you are in that situation, that can help your case, make you look more worthy to stay in the U.S. and so forth. So that's one project I'm working on.
And you guys do a lot of work too. I mean, you've done some work as well. In addition to that, doing the credit piece component, in addition to doing the credit component, you also spend a lot of time working on getting some, doing community service as well.
Oh, yes. I'm part of Harsher St. Vincent. It's a foster care for New York City with kids that are homeless, don't have a home to stay. So I'm working with that charity also. I started that last year. We had a huge success, and this year we continue to do it. With mentoring these kids, trying to raise them up the right way, get them ready for college, raising funds for their college and so forth. So I'm involved with that also for Harsher St. Vincent's.
And your business itself, obviously Y2K Credit Solutions, for somebody who doesn't know, Andy did this and kind of like started in the basement.
Yes. This Y2K Credit Solutions, it's a debt settlement credit restoration company. We're actually #1 in the industry now. We got rated on consumer ratings. We basically resolve all our consumers' credit issues within 3 to 5 months. And it just started from my mom's basement. It was a test trial. Didn't know if it was going to work out. 11 years later, we're #1 in the U.S. and we're in Canada now also. So that's a good thing. And we're just resolving everyone's credit and putting them back to financial freedom.
So you go from the basement to going to #1. That's not a small leap.
No, it took some time, but you know what it is? It's the consumers putting trust in us because the industry has such a dent in the name, or actually, if we could use that word. There's so much scams with it. So it was really, really tough trying to fight it and stay above water and keep a positive name out there and deliver the service and the work and helping these clients regain their financial power and showing them good credit and so forth. So it wasn't easy. It took a lot of work. There's a lot of bumps along the lines. And especially this wasn't really my trade. But 11 years later, it worked out. The consumers put a trust in us and we delivered our work. And here we are now, #1 in the industry.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
How does it make you feel?
It feels good, but I'm not done yet. I still have a lot more work to go. I'm trying to do an Atlanta, Georgia office within the next quarter. So we'll see how that works out and take it from there. But the work keeps going. I'm not comfortable. I'm never going to be comfortable until we take over the whole industry, right? But
right.
It feels good though. It feels good to came this far, and especially in a field that has such a bad name.
When you look at people who come across your desk and into your office, what are some of the common mistakes and common things that you're actually seeing amongst people that maybe we can tell somebody here? Listen,
man, we can go. That's a wide array of things I can tell you, but just lack of responsibility. You're responsible for everything you do, right? You take a credit card, you use it, you have to make the monthly payment. Even if you can't make a higher payment, just make the bare minimum. Second thing is a department store's credit card. All of my clients are getting caught up with these credit cards from department store like Macy's, Sears, Gap. You go into the store, they say, if you open a credit card, we'll give you 15% off. What you don't realize, if you don't pay that off the next month in full, that 50% turns into interest. And these department store cards, they don't help your credit, but they'll ding your credit. So a lot of consumers take things for granted that that's going to come off after 7 years. It doesn't work like that anymore. Lots of laws have changed. So if you have an account that went charge off, and if you don't take care of it, if it goes to collection, you could potentially have a lawsuit or a wage garnishment against you, especially with the big creditors like Chase, Citi, TD. And those banks are doing it because there's a paper trail. So it's a lack of responsibility and paying attention to what you're doing. And with financial advice and teaching these guys with the financial education, everyone can have their credit score in the 700s, 800s.
I was telling someone, you can lose your credit score in a minute, and it can take you forever to get it back.
Yeah, like the saying goes, it's easy to break and hard to fix, right? Same thing. It's really hard because the calculation of how the score is calculated, there's a lot of factors that's incorporated into your score. Payment history, longevity of credit, new accounts, inquiries. There's a lot of factors that are put into that equation.
Stay with us, Andy Sugo, our guest in studio. We'll be right back with more right after this.
Hey, did you know 2.4 million loving cats and dogs in shelters and rescues need our help to find a home? Let's go to theshelterpetproject.org and meet a few who are in a shelter near you. Harlow, oh, she's one great listener who loves to hear all your stories. My kind of cat. Cerulo is a sweet, goofy boy who's eager to please. Sounds just like another dog I know. So go to theshelterpetproject.org, search your local shelters and rescues, and go for a cuddle with your next best friend. Adopt.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm. 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 She keeps me warm.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Love is kind. Love is patient.
Continuing our conversation with Andy Suku, Y2K Credit Solutions, and giving us a little bit of credit worthiness to help you to become a little more credit worthy. Also letting you know exactly about what to do during this tax season and to make some really wise investments. And as we said, this is a time when really people can start investing in themselves to get themselves financially free.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about it. You wake up every day, you know, you go to work. You're the one that's bringing the bacon to the table, if I should say, right? So you want to rejuvenate yourself, like, you know, get into the gym, do things that's going to increase your health, make you more, go another 10 years, get to keep the wheels turning, you know? You'll be surprised. I have a lot of clients that got their tax return, and I see them on Instagram buying Louis Vuitton bags, but yet they don't have the health to go to the gym or even work a 9 to 5 without complaining, you know? So financial, investing in yourself and your body and, you know, your health, it's a good way to do it also instead of spending it on materialistic things.
Yeah. And a lot of people fail to do that. And I think we were just talking, you know, on the last show. And I said, what do you do? And he said, it's one of two things. Either you save or you spend.
Exactly. But it's called human capital, right? You know, financial capital, human capital, you invest in yourself. But yeah, I mean, it could either go north or south. Either you save or you spend. Fortunately, your priority has to be in place if you're going to be spending it, right? But also it takes discipline to save. It's really hard to save these days. If you look at the younger generation and especially living in New York City, it's so expensive to live here. It's really, really hard for everyone to like catch a hand 1 month. You know, bills it seems like time is flying faster and faster these days. We're already in April? First quarter's already over.
Hard to believe.
You know,
it's
so
just like New Year's.
Exactly. Another thing with the tax returns I want to touch upon is that if you're getting into the habit of spending now, you can already kind of figure out how the rest of your financial year is going to go. So if you can save, then you have the discipline and the mindset to shrink your spending and save, right? But if you're going to spend it as soon as you got it, I have a few friends and clients that are spent a tax return, they haven't got it yet. So, you know, you can tell how the rest of the year is going to go. And you don't want to be like that because it's going to be a struggle. Things are getting harder. Interest rates are going up.
Right.
You know, everything is really hard to attain and to get credit.
Yeah, we were talking not so long about buying houses, and we had you on during the time talking about the housing market, and that's taking even a turn, and things are a little bit harder to get into now.
That definitely, and especially in New York, the inventory is so low. There's not a lot of inventory here, so your options are very limited, and you know it's a seller's market. So people are selling things that are worth $300,000 for $600,000, right? So and the down payments are so bigger now. And banks are scrutinizing everything. So if you want to be prepared for that, that's where you want to go. And I think that's where everyone should try to focus on their financial future in the long term.
So give us some tips right now. During this time of year, what should we be focusing on? What should we possibly be doing now that we're in April?
Well, the first quarter, I say this, look back at the first quarter and see how you did and see where your mistakes are. Because you still have a chance to fix the rest of the year. You have 3 more quarters, 4 quarters in the year. Right? In a financial market, we go by quarters, right? Personally, we go month to month to month. But look back at what you did in the first quarter and see how it went. It was a new year, right? Every day is a new day, but it was a new year. But if you see yourself going down the wrong path, then you really have to make some adjustments. But the main thing you should really do is save. Have a savings, have a really good credit score, get rid of all these debts. You don't want to go in, well, you don't want to finish 2017 with debts from 2016. You don't want to go into 2018 with accumulated debts from 16 and 17. You're never going to see the light at the end of the tunnel. If that terminology makes sense in a situation. But I really think that everyone should really start saving, working on this credit, working on your credit scores, get rid of these debts. Debt elimination, asset accumulation. I heard it from a really good friend of mine, actually. He's probably watching. He's gonna say, I said that.
Yeah.
But that's really a terminology that sticks with me. Debt elimination, asset accumulation. That's really where the world is going now.
Get as many assets as you can, but at the same time also eliminate your debt.
Not even so much assets, but have a good portfolio. A nice little savings, 1 or 2 properties. So as you go along in life, you're still up to par with what's going on, and you're still relevant. You're not behind.
Important to know and important to have. Andy Suku is our guest in the studio talking here. Y2K Credit Solutions. Now, if you want more information, tell them about how they can reach out to you.
You can reach out to us on the website, y2kcreditsolutions.com. Give us a call, 516-622-2213, 568-491-7686. We have so many numbers.
Right.
There's so many numbers.
You're all across the world, so it's hard to get that local number there, right?
Yeah,
it's good.
And
you're also
just
in
reach
Canada,
out to
as you
us.
said,
Yes,
yeah.
we have a Canada office now, but we only service Canadian clients over there. It's totally different entity, totally separate process. Everything is completely different over there.
Right.
So it's a project. But we're definitely reachable on the web, phone numbers. Give us a call. We're here to help.
As you said, soon to come, possibly in Atlanta. Huh?
Atlanta, Buckhead, Georgia, actually, to be exact.
Right?
I'm trying to put an office there. There's a huge demand for our service. And that's another thing we should talk about. Everyone is leaving New York City because it's so expensive. You could buy a mansion. What would cost you $1 million here? You can get in Atlanta, Georgia for about $400,000.
Right.
But without good credit,
can't pull it.
You can't pull it. So look at the things that you're losing out on, and a quality of life down there.
Exactly.
Way better.
Exactly.
Right. So there's a huge demand for our services down there. So we're looking forward to opening that office and taking over Atlanta.
All righty. Well, listen. Want to let you know, get connected. Andy Sugu, Y2K Credit Solutions. Thank you, Andy, for coming and sharing with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good to have you one more time.
Same
and as, of course, you want more information during this tax season, make sure you get that information that was hit at the bottom of the screen. Andy will be glad to supply it for you and let you know. Listen, we're about out of show here on Perspectives. Until the next time we meet, stay safe and share your perspective. I'm Darren Jaime saying take care. God bless.
Decisions, cause in the long run it's your voice, your views, your vision, keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective with shines of light, cause it might make a difference in someone else's life. What's your perspective? Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective. What's your perspective? Let them know.
What's on your...
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.